leadership on so many issues. I am Congressmember Kevin Mullin, proud to represent parts of San Francisco and San Mateo County in the United States House of Representatives. We are actually standing in Speaker Emerita Pelosi's district. The northern end of my district starts just a little south of here, but so pleased to be in the beautiful city and county of San Francisco today. I am honored to be joined by the mayor, along with San Francisco Fire Chief Dean Crispen, Police Chief Derrick, SFMTA Director Julie Kirschbaum, and SFCTA Executive Director Tilly Chang, and Deputy Director of Emergency Management Adrienne Bechelli. I am also excited that we have Cathy Chase, who came out here all the way from Washington, D.C., flew out, she tells me, just for this. Hopefully she's enjoying her time here in the beautiful city. She is the president of the Advocates for Highway and Auto Safety, a nonprofit working to improve safety on roads in America, across America. The Bay Area is on the front lines of the autonomous vehicle revolution. AV companies that started right here at home are now operating in cities across America. What we once thought was a distant future is now very much a reality. Driverless cars have real potential to improve safety on our roads and reduce injuries and fatalities. But this technology is still being developed and in many ways tested in real time in our communities, from San Francisco and Las Vegas to Dallas and Miami and many other cities across the country. And while I very much want this technology to succeed, we need to make sure it's being developed and deployed safely. We have seen disturbing and, frankly, an unacceptable number of incidents where autonomous vehicles inadvertently interfere with emergency responders, trying to get to people in danger, driving through construction zones, failing during power outages, and contributing to large-scale traffic jams. In Austin, Texas, an AV reportedly blocked an ambulance and first responders who were heading to the scene of a mass shooting. In Las Vegas, one drove into heavy smoke from a nearby fire. In Dallas County, Texas, a driverless car got in the way of a law enforcement officer who was rushing to a deadly natural gas explosion. And in Phoenix, an AV reportedly approached a crime scene while police officers were engaged in a manhunt. And of course, here at home, we've seen situations with driverless cars contributing to paralyzing traffic jams and dangerous situations like the widespread power outage in December and the fireworks on the 4th of July. And this is an issue that's generating bipartisan concern. Just a couple of weeks ago, President Trump's administrator for the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, we know it as NHTSA, called the status quo with how AVs are interacting with emergency responders, quote, unacceptable. And that's an administration that's taken a pretty hands-off approach to regulation. They even are acknowledging that this is a real problem. All of these crises call out for federal action. And that is why today I am introducing the AV Emergency Response Coordination Act. This bill would direct federal regulators to take a more active role in establishing minimum standards for how driverless cars can interact with these emergency responders, including our firefighters, police officers, paramedics, and many other emergency personnel. Because a driverless car stuck in the middle of the road is the last thing a firefighter needs to worry about while they are rushing to help people in need. We're here in San Francisco, this beautiful city that is flourishing under Mayor Lurie's leadership. It's an incredible hub of technology. We're surrounded by some of that incredible technology and life sciences and other entities here in Mission Bay. We are truly on the front lines of driverless cars and working on best practices to manage them. Cities and states have been working to develop regulations, and they deserve the support of the federal government. And rather than making public officials in each city and state start from scratch to figure this out on their own, we're putting the onus on AV companies themselves to meet minimum standards around safety. That is not only more efficient for everyone involved, but it also makes all of us safer. My AV Emergency Response Coordination Act would create nationwide standards and protocols to require driverless car companies to work better with local emergency responders. It would establish a 24/7 hotline for public officials to communicate directly with AV companies in real time, in the moment, with a sense of immediacy to deal with these situations, and create a process so that local public officials can issue requests for AVs to avoid certain areas during an emergency. We call it geofencing. Seconds count during a crisis, and we've seen too many terrifying incidents of AVs interfering with police, firefighters, and paramedics. I applaud Mayor Lurie, San Francisco's fire and police departments, the SFMTA and the SFCTA for all that they are doing to manage these AV operators and keep our community safe. The mayor and his team have been instrumental in helping us craft this legislation. Their experiences here in the city informed how I wrote the bill, and it will now help the rest of the country if we can get that bipartisan support into a bill that can actually become law, and we are going to be working on just that. Autonomous vehicles have tremendous potential to improve safety on our roads, but federal regulators need to make sure they're not inadvertently getting in the way of first responders, and that this technology is being developed in coordination with those directly responsible for protecting the public. Now, with that, I am honored to turn it over to the great mayor of San Francisco. Thank you, sir, for being here and for hosting us, Mayor Daniel Lurie.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Congressman Mullin. Appreciate your leadership. You all have heard me say this time and time again. Public safety is my top priority here in San Francisco. And in order to keep San Franciscans safe, our first responders must be able to reach an emergency quickly, whether that is a firefighter responding to a fire or police officers responding to a crime. Now, San Francisco has been at the forefront of autonomous vehicle technology because we were one of the first cities to welcome AVs at scale. We have learned more than almost any other city about how they operate in a dense, complex urban environment. We have seen the enormous potential of this technology. We have also learned where stronger coordination and clearer standards are needed, especially during major events and unexpected disruptions. Last December, a widespread power outage caused traffic signals to go dark. Some AVs became immobilized and blocked major thoroughfares and intersections. During the recent 4th of July celebrations on the waterfront, the city worked with AV operators to restrict service along the northern waterfront, but the unusually heavy traffic created navigation challenges and some AVs blocked intersections. In both cases, San Francisco's public safety agencies responded effectively and kept people safe. The city and AV operators also gained valuable information about how this technology must perform under difficult conditions. Now, we have an opportunity to turn those lessons into stronger standards, not only for San Francisco, but for cities across the country as AVs expand. That is why I am proud to stand with Congressman Mullin today as he introduces the AV Emergency Response Coordination Act. This legislation will give local governments and autonomous vehicle companies a clearer framework for coordinating during emergencies and unexpected disruptions. It would also help ensure that AVs can respond appropriately when streets close, traffic patterns change, signals fail, or first responders need immediate access. Those same capabilities are also critical when San Francisco hosts a major event. Residents and visitors should be able to take an AV, public transit, or bike around our city safely. And they must also trust that our police and fire departments can reach them in an emergency. Being an innovation leader here in San Francisco and around this country also carries responsibility to learn quickly, solve problems as they emerge, and help new technology become safer and more reliable. San Francisco has embraced transportation innovation at every turn throughout our history. We invented the cable car. We adopted a landmark transit first policy. We have served as the birthplace of rideshare services and now autonomous vehicles. And each of those innovations evolved over time to meet the needs of a dynamic city. Now it is time for autonomous vehicles to do the same. San Francisco remains committed to working with AV companies, regulators, and our legislative partners to establish the clear standards necessary for autonomous vehicles to become a reliable, integrated part of our transportation network. Thank you, Congressman Mullin, for leading on this issue at the national level. San Francisco wants AVs on our streets, and we want them to be here safely.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, for your leadership and for your partnership. With that, I am honored to introduce San Francisco Fire Chief Dean Crispen, who has been on the front lines of navigating this autonomous vehicles question. In fact, it was a letter he wrote me earlier this year that helped inspire the AV Emergency Response Coordination Act. Thank you, Chief, for your support of the bill and for sort of a real-world understanding of the challenges that are facing public safety officers and personnel. And with that, I'll turn it over to the Fire Chief, Chief Crispen.
Good morning. Congressman Mullin, Mayor Lurie, thank you so much for your commitment to public safety and your leadership on this issue. My name is Dean Crispen. I'm the Fire Chief of the San Francisco Fire Department. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today in support of the AV Emergency Response Coordination Act. The top priority of this department is ensuring that our personnel can respond quickly and safely to emergencies. We've been working closely with autonomous vehicle companies and welcome this technology, provided it is deployed in a manner that supports public safety and emergency response operations. Autonomous vehicles have, on multiple occasions, interfered with San Francisco Fire Department emergency operations during active responses and while units are operating at the scene of an emergency incident. These interferences frequently require direct interaction between SFFD personnel and the autonomous vehicle, diverting firefighters and paramedics away from critical emergency response duties. In such situations, SFFD personnel first attempt to direct the AV using standardized traffic control hand signals. If the vehicle does not respond, firefighters or paramedics will attempt to establish communications with the vehicle's operating company through the exterior speaker or microphone system. Should the company representative be unable to remotely reposition the vehicle, control of the vehicle may be released to SFFD personnel for the purpose of relocating it away from the incident area. Unfortunately, during a recent July 4th event, these tactics were unsuccessful in moving an AV that was blocking traffic in the Presidio. In addition, AV passengers are also being picked up or dropped off by autonomous vehicles directly in front of fire stations and ambulance deployment facilities, which obstruct emergency access, delay apparatus movement, and interfere with critical emergency response operations. Autonomous vehicle operations should be managed to prevent stopping, standing, or queuing in these areas to ensure emergency vehicles can always enter and exit without delay. These interactions can and do delay emergency response, essential emergency operations, and create additional safety concerns at emergency scenes. The San Francisco Fire Department is grateful to Congressman Mullin for his commitment to ensuring that autonomous vehicles companies and all public safety agencies, including fire, emergency medical services, law enforcement, and other first responders, can continue to operate safely and effectively alongside one another while protecting the communities we serve. Thank you. I would now like to pass it off to Advocates for Highway and Auto Safety President Cathy Chase.
Thank you, Chief. Good morning. I'm Cathy Chase. I'm the president of Advocates for Highway and Auto Safety. Advocates is an alliance of consumer, public health, law enforcement, and safety organizations and insurance agents and companies working together to promote laws, regulations, and policies that reduce our nation's motor vehicle crashes, fatalities, injuries, and associated costs. We are not for or against autonomous vehicles. Indeed, we hope they will be successful in reducing the unacceptable motor vehicle crash and injury toll from which our nation suffers. However, AVs have caused congestion, consternation, and crashes. AV proponents often claim that AVs are safer because they don't get tired, distracted, or drive impaired. While AVs may avoid some of these types of crashes, they also may cause crashes that alert, engaged, and sober human drivers would easily avoid. AVs, which are essentially billion-dollar pieces of equipment with years of research, should be compared to the best drivers, not the worst or average drivers. And yet, they have driven into work zones and active police scenes and impeded the work of emergency responders. Luckily, these mistakes have not resulted in major catastrophes. But we cannot and must not rely on luck. This is why we enthusiastically support Congressman Mullin's AV Emergency Response Coordination Act and Mayor Lurie's call for clear operational standards for AVs. The AV Emergency Response Coordination Act would establish minimum federal standards for AV companies to follow to effectively coordinate with emergency responders. It would ensure first responders have standardized emergency response information and a 24/7 company contact, as well as the ability to direct AVs away from emergencies and other hazardous areas. All of us need and rely on emergency responders, firefighters, fire chiefs, and law enforcement at our most vulnerable and endangered times. Anything that impedes their arrivals and rescues could literally be taking lives. We all need to be keenly focused on ensuring that AVs are safe for all road users and deliver on other promised societal benefits of accessibility, equity, preserving consumer and worker rights, and ensuring sustainable transportation. Advancing safety and technological innovation can and must be compatible goals and not trade-offs. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Cathy. That organization is truly creating safer communities across the country. So proud to have you on board with this bill. So thank you, Cathy, again, for coming out all the way from Washington, D.C., and everything you are doing. I would like to just close very briefly by adding that while today I'm introducing the AV Emergency Response Coordination Act, there is much more that the federal government needs to do better to understand the realities of how safe driverless cars actually are on our roads. Earlier this Congress, I introduced the AV Safety Data Act, which would require NHTSA to collect more information beyond just crashes, including how many vehicle miles they're traveling as kind of a baseline measurement, and when driverless cars have unplanned stoppages like blocking emergency responders or public transit. All of that needs to be tracked appropriately. The public deserves to know and be able to trust that autonomous vehicles can operate safely, not only in San Francisco and the peninsula that I'm proud to represent, but also across the country. And with that, we have a few minutes if we have any questions. Again, thank you to our speakers and the public safety leadership and, of course, our mayor for their partnership on this. And I am optimistic that this won't be tossed automatically into a partisan bucket. There have been constructive bipartisan conversations in my Energy and Commerce Committee. This is an issue that red states are dealing with and blue states are dealing with. All of America will be dealing with as these evolutions happen. So we need to get in front of this with some federal legislation that makes sense. So thank you all for being here. I greatly appreciate it. With that, happy to answer any questions that you might have. Yes, sir.
I understand the legislation is necessary, but this is a situation that has been years in the making, and I'm kind of curious what kind of the responses from Waymo and other autonomous vehicles have been in maybe agreeing to some of this legislation or adding their own 2 cents worth as well.
Thank you so much for that. We have had numerous conversations with AV company representatives. Waymo wants to fix these problems. I would welcome their support of this bill. I think they are following this. They don't want the negative headlines. They don't want the reality of the incidents that we're seeing in the city, and the other companies are well aware that there is a perception issue. You know, these vehicles, and I've ridden in these vehicles up and down the peninsula, the technology is remarkable under normal conditions. What I'm most concerned about is the abnormal conditions, the special events where there's a surge of people these unexpected emergency events that happen, these vehicles not only need to evolve their technology to deal with that, but they need to be in direct coordination with our local public safety officials whose job it is to respond appropriately. So I do think there is a willingness there. There's an understanding that we have a problem here, and it needs to be fixed. I'm going to work it from the federal level, but if you look at the legislation, there really is an abundance of coordination between these companies and the local public safety officials required there. And then the federal regulator comes in and makes a uniform approach and standardizes that approach so it can be replicable across the country. So this is one piece, an important piece of what we need to do. But I really do believe these companies understand this is a real-world thing. And I was reading the Chronicle this morning about El Nino that is coming and the challenges we're going to have with extreme weather over time, with flooding and those kinds of things. There are so many real-world challenges that these vehicles are going to be confronting, and there needs to be much better coordination with local public safety. We are putting the onus on these companies, but the smart companies, I think, would be willing to bear that burden and come forward with how these vehicles operate and how we can better address these situations that are unfolding across the country. But thank you for the question. Yes, sir.
Congressman, Chase Deeply 2020 with Politico. I'm wondering if you'd like to see this piece of legislation make it into a broader federal package, perhaps the highway bill, how you see that working.
Yeah.
And then a follow-up from Mayor Lurie. I just wanted to understand, since this is setting kind of a federal floor, how you would like to see maybe local control change or be increased over this issue, especially with your recent letter to California state regulators.
So thank you very much for the question. I would love nothing more than to move this promptly with bipartisan support, try to get it into the larger package. I'm year 4 in the House. My general understanding of these things is you're bringing attention to it, you're working with your committee, and you try to generate enough bipartisan support to bake that into a larger vehicle that actually moves. So that is absolutely the intent. It has been challenging with this Republican majority for Democratic bills to move. There's a certain reality there, but this one, we've had fruitful conversations on the AV front because it really isn't viewed in a partisan context. So it gives me some optimism that there's a real awareness here of what we're dealing with. So we're going to try to move this as expeditiously as we can. The bill actually drops on Thursday. I'm confident we'll be able to get some bipartisan support just right out of the gate and be able to have some very fruitful conversations. And with that, I will allow the mayor to address that second question.
First, I did write a letter to the Transportation Secretary. I'm actually speaking with him later today. I want this technology to succeed here in San Francisco and beyond. And as the Congressman just said, this is scaling. And so I don't think this should be city by city. I do think that there should be guardrails put in place at the state level and hopefully at the federal level. So as mayor of just one city, I'm looking for support at the state and the federal level when it comes to this. And I also just want to respond very quickly on the notion of the question about whether or not these companies are interested in this. We have had very productive conversations with these companies, and I do hope that they get on board and support. I think these are common sense solutions that we proposed in the letter and in this bill.
I know it's one of the innovations that these companies are pushing, but there are now 2 operators in San Francisco that operate vehicles that don't have any steering wheels. Chief Crispen has mentioned that at times firefighters literally need to get behind the wheel to move the cars out of the way if they're non-operational. Is that something that should be addressed at the federal level and actually building these vehicles? And could you talk a little bit about that? And then Chief Crispen, I'm curious how you guys deal with vehicles that have no steering wheels.
Thank you for that. Just to reiterate, this legislation would be applicable to levels 3 through 5 of these autonomous vehicles. There is an active conversation right now through NHTSA about that very issue around the steering wheels. But this bill as designed would encompass all of that and be able to evolve over time as the technology evolves. In terms of the actual mechanism of the lack of a steering wheel, I don't know if Chief Crispen has any thoughts about that, but that is the general move Zooks in particular, which is in Foster City in my congressional district, has that technology. But this bill would be designed to encompass all of that to make sure even if that mechanism isn't physically there, all of those standards and protocols that we're developing would address those vehicles as well. And I don't know if there are any additional thoughts you have, Chief.
Sure. So a couple other things I'd like to address. On the 4th of July, we had several other issues that I'd like to highlight. One was with the Waymo vehicle and mixing with vehicles and pedestrians. When somebody touches a Waymo, accidentally or intentionally, the Waymo freezes and indicates that there's an auto pedestrian accident. So we had that happen with several of them. So the amount of incidents were overloading their ability to have a response team handle these issues. And the other issue we had was accidentally a Waymo drove over some fireworks, and credit to DEM because they brought a Waymo representative right into the EOC initially, and they were very helpful. But when the Waymo ran over the fireworks, they saw it as an attack, so they disabled the entire system. So not only does that stop a lot of vehicles, but it also doesn't allow those vehicles to be used as ride sharing to get people out of the event. So that's a real problem. And as I said, we have methodology even without the steering wheel to be able to use the speaker and the microphone to be able to talk to Central Command and be able to get those moved. But we have a plan in place for if we have a large earthquake or something where we're going to actually move them out of the way physically. And that's, we understand that's a possibility, and we're increasing our capabilities to do that. But really, just the algorithms getting better and having more people in the customer service area will be very beneficial to us.
Does that entail physically, like, pushing the thing out of the way or pulling it out of the way?
Yes.
Maybe one more, and then I will be around to talk to anybody that has additional questions.
From Bay City News. I'm just wondering, speaking of the fire department's time and labor and the research development people are contributing to these companies, does the legislation provide for any additional funding for public agencies that are going to be working essentially with the company for the company's benefit?
That is not contemplated in this bill, but I am mindful of the additional set of challenges that public safety agencies are having to deal with this autonomous vehicle reality. So it's something I'm mindful of, not contemplated in this bill specifically, but that's something we could certainly look at.
Between December's blackout, 4th of July, there's fireworks, there's a range of different stuff, and the fire department's talking about gearing up and training more and dedicating more resources to it. Are we going to locally dedicate any more funding to the fire department or emergency services specifically to deal with this issue?
Well, I think that's why we want guardrails put in place so we don't have to deal with these issues in the future. But our training continues. Our fire department will continue to prepare for whatever needs to happen. Our police department the same. But this is why we need help, so we don't have instances like this that cause concern. And as the Congressman said, in normal situations, these technologies are working. We need them to work in extraordinary circumstances as well, and we think these guardrails and this bill that the Congressman is putting forward will help us here in San Francisco and will help cities across the country. So I appreciate your leadership, Congressman.
All right, thank you all. Yes, sir.
I don't see any representatives from Waymo or anybody behind you. Are there any financial punishments or what is in the bill at this point to incentivize